NoDQ Galaxy, and we are back with the NoDQ review number 49. And I am Virtue here with the same shirt on that Big G is wearing, Fire Virtue. We are also joined by TJS and Aaron Rift, the elite team of NoDQ. How is everybody doing? Aaron, I'll start with you.
I'm doing very well. I got my NoDQ.com pen, even though I'm not really going to be taking notes. I just wanted to mention the pen. You could pick one up by emailing me, nodqmisc@gmail.com if you're interested. Things are going well. I'm looking forward to the review today. We're almost at episode 50, but it feels like episode 50 right now, considering how busy of a week this has been. We have a lot of topics to cover, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this week's debate goes. I know last week we got a little bit heated. We'll see if we could top last week. TJS, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It was my 21st birthday over the weekend. I did not get drunk. I enjoyed a Shirley Temple, and I went to a house show where I got a selfie with my estranged father, Braun Strowman, and he came over there and he said, "Happy birthday," with that monstrous voice, patted me on the shoulder. We took the selfie, and Baron Corbin also, he was like, "Whose birthday was it?" And then I was like, "It was mine." And then he was like, "This is for your birthday." Then he punched Strowman.
Nice.
I got a happy birthday from Sasha, and it was all together a nice little show.
What about EC3 wasn't there?
No, he didn't show up. I guess he was busy or something.
What a slap in the face that was.
What's up, Big G?
I'm doing good. Big move this weekend. Moved in with my girlfriend and her parents, and ready to begin this new chapter. And I'm ready for this hot review that we're gonna do. We had a couple of big returns, and yeah, let's get this thing started, Virtue.
What are you, a seal? Well, you need to have a ball and twirl it on your nose or something. The Big G seal clap. All right, let's start with the return of the big dog, Roman Reigns. So we knew several days ago he was going to come back on Raw and give us a status on his health, and like a lot of us assumed, it was basically him barking about his comeback. He's got over leukemia. Heck, we could have seen that a month ago when there were scenes of him filming a movie with The Rock, because what type of cancer patients do that? Now look, people, skeptics. TJS, did you look that word up? Do you understand where we're going with this? First of all, it's wrestling, right? So everybody says you can assume work. They are not working us with Roman. Look up leukemia. Go on Google. Go on WebMD. There are different strains and forms of it, right? Roman had it. I think back when he played college football or somewhere right around there. He got over it. It's been in remission. The fact that a flare-up means just a few cells could show in your blood, that means you have it again, or you're really close to having it again. He had to take care of this. There's no way with Susan G. Komen, with Make-A-Wish, et cetera, that they're going to work this publicly traded company going on Good Morning America. There is no way. If this ever came out as a work, then the Montreal Screwjob of 97 would have officially came out as a work too. Okay, so it's opinion. Roman looked good, and he was already physically involved to a point. So what's everyone's take on Roman, and do you think it's wise that he gets physically involved now or maybe after Mania? Aaron Rift, I will start with you.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of factors with Reigns and his leukemia battle. We have to keep in mind that, number one, the guy is in tip-top shape, probably in better shape than 99% of the population. So there's that. You also have to consider that the guy has money, and I'm sure WWE's helping him out, so he has the best care in the world. And the other thing is that it was caught early. So whatever flare-up there was, they were able to handle it. So it was pretty much a best-case scenario, but when you add in all those factors, I think it's certainly possible. Now, as far as him being back goes and what do you do with him, that's a great question, because I don't see a clear-cut match for him at WrestleMania now. You pretty much have all the key matches set up. Do you put him in there with Baron Corbin in a one-on-one match, or do you put him there against Ambrose? I don't know. At this point, there's no real clear direction for me when it comes to Roman Reigns, but I suspect WWE is going to put him in a match at WrestleMania. I think that's almost certainly going to happen. It's just a matter of who his opponent is. So, Big G, your take on it, and who do you think Roman Reigns should be going up against?
No, okay, so I'm glad Roman is back. I literally had chills when he came out. That's how happy I was for him to come to see him again after 5 months. To all the skeptics out there, it's not a work. Like we all said, he has all the money in the world. WWE or Vince helped him pay for all his treatment and stuff like that. Like Aaron, you said, they caught it early. And yes, a month ago he was filming Hobbs and Shaw with his cousin The Rock, and like Virtue said, you don't see no cancer patient filming an action movie like that. As far as what he's gonna be doing, I'm still calling it. I could see, well, obviously they might do something at Fastlane with the Shield from what happened on Monday, but I could see Roman Reigns being in Seth Rollins' corner at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar, and even possible, like I said, Dean Ambrose being there, helping Seth Rollins defeat Brock Lesnar to win the Universal title. And if Dean Ambrose is leaving, if it's not a work, that he could celebrate with Seth, and then he could ride off into the sunset. That's my opinion. TJS.
Well, I'll just say that I am very, very happy to see that Roman has beaten again in such a short time. He really is a real-life superhero. There's no denying that. As far as this being a work goes, I don't think that it is, but I could see why people would think that it is, because, I mean, WWE is very underhanded. We saw what they did with JR, making fun of his Bell's palsy, but granted, Bell's palsy is not leukemia, but still, I feel like WWE is very underhanded. But, like I said, I don't think they're doing this. They do too many fundraisers and such, and he did appear on Good Morning America. As far as him getting physical goes, it made me happy, because I thought that Roman was going to come out there and say, I'm back, and then there would be no more TV time for him or whatever until after Mania. But when he came out and Superman punched those heels, I thought it was really cool. I'm really glad to see that the Shield is probably going to get back together, and there's no way Roman's not having a match at WrestleMania, let's face it. If it's not already sold out, then they want to sell those tickets. They always want to get those top names on the WrestleMania card. So that's where that stands. He's definitely going to have a match. I'm guessing it's going to be with Baron Corbin. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be in the Universal title match, which this is going to be the first time he doesn't main event in what? Well, the Universal title match might not be the main event, so we'll just see what happens.
What if Ambrose and Roman team up and face the tag team champions at Mania, and have the Shield have all the titles once again?
Well, Seth already has a match.
Now, what was that first hour rating, Aaron, of Raw this week? 3.1 million, 3.2?
Yeah, they did a pretty big number for the first hour, but then it did fall in the second and third hour. I'm not sure how many people knew about Reigns being on Raw at the start, because WWE announced it like on Friday on social media. It wasn't announced on Raw the previous week. So I don't know how much of a difference Reigns made, but it was, I think, the best number since like August. So I think you could maybe attribute a little bit of that to Reigns and maybe some of it to Ric Flair. We'll see how next week goes. Now that Batista's back, Reigns is back. We'll see if WWE can keep the momentum going heading into WrestleMania. But I just wanted to add regarding Reigns, I'm happy that he's back for sure. And I can understand people being skeptical, though, because WWE is a company that does shady tactics. I mean, they've done some interesting things over the years with marketing, and they've done some promotional things that I'm not sure I would agree with, but and they're a company that likes to work people, so it doesn't necessarily surprise me that people would doubt this story. Just like when John Cena came back at the Royal Rumble in 2008, like 3 months after being injured, and the word was that he was going to miss WrestleMania and he's back in 3 months, and people were skeptical of it. They were like, well, how can anybody recover that quickly? But again, I think it's all those factors I mentioned earlier that played a role in it, and I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's healthy.
I think they should have Roman look a little vulnerable, like he's just not 100% yet physically. And of course, they did that spot where he looked good, coming out with Rollins on Raw. I think that there definitely needs to be an angle on Raw where Brock gets to him and F5s him a couple times, and it makes it clear that he can't recover from it, and he's just not ready yet, and he has to take a side role at Mania. I don't think he should be in a match. Now, WWE will probably go that way and put him in a tag match or against Corbin or this and that. He should look vulnerable, get more empathy and sympathy. We know his haters will come back the harder he's pushed. That's what I'm waiting for. I can't wait. I'm ready. But until then, put sympathy and empathy on this guy. Let him take a beat. He'll be there, maybe in the corner. Actually, maybe not even do that, to be honest with you, because that would be too obvious that something could happen. Maybe just have Brock get his hands on Reigns, and then Reigns is just like off in the distance at Mania, not even anywhere near ringside, and let Rollins do it on his own. We got plenty of time to talk about this. Let Rollins do it on his own, then the celebration, then Roman comes out, maybe hugs him at the end of Mania. We'll see, right? We got time, several weeks. Let's move on. We got another Hall of Fame member coming in, and of course, we got to get the gimmicks in there every year. So we're going back to the 80s. Perhaps one of the, if not the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. I believe he was the longest. It was such a great heel reign. I'm talking about the Honky Tonk Man. It was such a great heel reign that they could have a new up-and-comer called the Ultimate Warrior come out at SummerSlam 88 and beat him in less than a minute to an unbelievable pop, to an organic crowd that we do not get anymore. They don't care Honky Tonk Man wasn't the best in-ring worker, that he was a gimmick, an Elvis ripoff. They didn't care the Warrior was green. They loved that moment. And it's gone, but kudos to Honky Tonk. What's everyone's thoughts on Honky Tonk Man? And I hope Jimmy Hart's there to induct him, maybe even some Greg Valentine. TJS, I'll start with you.
I could have long sideburns and my hair slicked back. I'm coming to your town in my mean Cadillac. He's the Honky Tonk Man. Yeah, it's really good that he's going in. I obviously didn't. I wasn't born when he had his real prime time.
You weren't born when WCW was still in business.
TGS, he was one of the heel. Remember I said that I loved heels when I was a kid, and that's what got me invested in wrestling? He was one of those core groups that got me to be a wrestling fan. He was one of those guys.
I think that I'm really not so. I just feel like the Hall of Fame's really political at this point, like Aaron always says, and I honestly already thought Honky Tonk Man was in, so I just remember, I swear I've heard like WWE Hall of Famer, the Honky Tonk Man, but guess not. He made the IC title special though, and not really so special today, is it? What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I'm not really surprised that you weren't sure about him being in the Hall of Fame or not. I mean, let's face it, there's so many people in the Hall of Fame at this point. WWE lets pretty much anybody in, so it's very easy to get confused. And then you have the word legend thrown around a lot. WWE legend, who's not necessarily a Hall of Famer, and then you have the people that are Hall of Famers, so it can get confusing. Now, I'm very happy about Honky Tonk Man being there just because I think it'll be entertaining. I'm not really that surprised. I figured he would go in eventually. I know he's been quite negative about WWE over the years in shoot interviews. So he hasn't necessarily been in political favor with WWE over the years. But great character from the 80s. When you think of classic 80s WWF characters, Honky Tonk Man's definitely at the top of that list. Very entertaining personality. And yeah, that SummerSlam 88 with the Ultimate Warrior, I love that match. I love the atmosphere there when the Warrior came out and hit the big splash to win the title, and the crowd just erupted. You just don't see those kind of reactions anymore, like Virtue said. And Honky was just an amazing heel. He did a great job, and I don't know if Jimmy Hart's going to induct him because there's the rumor about the Hart Foundation going in, but I feel like Jimmy Hart's the most fitting person to do it. I don't know who else would. Maybe Ricky Steamboat or somebody like that, but I feel like it should be Jimmy Hart. Big G, any other thoughts you have?
Not really. I mean, I was only 4 months old when he had lost the Intercontinental title to Ultimate Warrior. I did see that match on the network. I think that's the only match I've seen from the Honky Tonk Man. I know. I might have
Look
to
up
go
Rhythm and Blues, and you'll see some. They had a nice little run as the tag team champions.
Okay, although I mean that's why you have the network for. You can go back and watch all these Hall of Famers that are in the Hall of Fame or are going into the Hall of Fame. But I think it's good for Honky Tonk Man. He's such a great character. I remember when he came out when I think Santino was the Intercontinental Champion, and Santino was trying to be the longest running Intercontinental Champion, and Honky Tonk Man came out.
Yeah, put up the honka meter. I did want to add, there's a couple really good Honky Tonk matches that I remember, and I do want to mention the one with Randy Savage on Saturday night's main event. If you guys haven't seen that, you should check it out. The match where Elizabeth came out and, Honky Tonk Man and the Hart Foundation were beating down on Savage, and then Honky hit him with the guitar, and Elizabeth had to go to the back and bring out Hulk Hogan, and that's what got the Mega Powers going. That was a case of Honky Tonk Man just being an amazing heel. I think he shoved down Elizabeth and hit Savage with the guitar. Great stuff. Go ahead.
I did remember seeing that segment. I think it was like in '96 when Billy Gunn left Honky Tonk Man to team up with Road Dogg. So I do remember that. But that was later in Honky Tonk's career, I think. So
yeah, he had some good matches with a lot of top WWE babyfaces. Like WrestleMania 4, I enjoyed that match with Brutus Beefcake, and you had Sensational Sherry dressed up as Peggy Sue. You had Honky Tonk Man versus Hulk Hogan on one of those Saturday night's main events, which was another entertaining match. And then, like Virtue said, he had some entertaining stuff with Greg the Hammer Valentine as Rhythm and Blues. Maybe Valentine will do it.
Oh, they'll have to be very careful about that, though. Valentine's going to have a live mic. Anyway, let's move on. So good for you, Honky Tonk Man. Shake, rattle, and roll, baby. Releases. Now, last week, some of these releases weren't official, right? So here's my list, and Aaron, add to these. So TJP is no longer in WWE. Ty Dillinger, Hideo Itami, and Arn Anderson. From what I believe, the rumors say that him and Vince were at odds, and there might have even been a blow-up that led to Arn's release. Again, hearsay. So what's everyone's take on early spring cleaning? Did I miss anyone? And who else might you expect to maybe be released if a few more get tacked onto this list? Big G?
Well, TJP, not a big surprise. I mean, he was the first Cruiserweight champion of the new era when they had the Cruiserweight Classic. And then he pretty much, as far as I remember, he didn't do much on 205 Live. After that, he had a couple feuds here and there. If anything, maybe he can go back to Impact as Suicide or whatever his name was. AEW for all I care. Ty Dillinger, like I said last week, he asked if he could go back to NXT, and they said no. So I guess he was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything on SmackDown. Give me my release, and I'll go somewhere bigger and better and prove you guys wrong. Tommy, the same thing. He could go back to Japan, to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he'll be big over there and do bigger and better things. As far as Arn Anderson goes, maybe they did have a blow up. Maybe Vince, because he was a producer, right? If I'm not mistaken.
He did stuff in the office, yeah, and
Okay,
probably
so,
agented
Vince,
some matches.
Maybe Vince got, you know what, you're not doing a good job for me. I'm letting you go. As far as other people leaving, maybe Cassius Ohno. People down in NXT who aren't really happy doing what they do down there. Maybe they want to get released. I don't know. That's all I could think of. TJS.
Big G, Cassius Ohno joined NXT UK. he's over there now. That happened at a house show, or not a house show, but an NXT UK taping. So
yeah, but that's only he didn't join. It's just they're having the NXT versus NXT UK like brands fight each other. Because I saw that, and it was just NXT versus NXT UK. He didn't join NXT UK officially.
Well, that's weird because I know that he did his little promo on NXT where he's like, "I'm leaving NXT." So I just thought that maybe he was joining NXT UK. Anyway, as far as the releases go, Dillinger doesn't surprise me. He hasn't done anything at all, really, on the main roster. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything outside of WWE without the 10 chant. It's just, he doesn't have the look or anything like that. He's not very charismatic. Sure, he's good in the ring, but I don't know, man. And
is he, though?
He's okay, I guess. I know that a lot of people give him praise for being like safe in the ring and everything like that. I don't know. Anyway, cruiserweights. The cruiserweight division is getting thinner than Baron Corbin's hair. It's getting outraged. The cruiserweight division's so small now. People keep leaving.
Well, they're all small. They're under 205.
Yeah. I don't know. Hideo he tweeted that he was going to go back to Japan as Kenta, so maybe he'll do better off there. I'm sure he will. It really sucks because everyone was excited for him to sign, and then he just got injured constantly, and he never really took off from there. It was cool to see him use the GTS since it was his move, but he stopped using it eventually, and his momentum really stalled when he went to 5 Live. TJP, he was a staple of the Cruiserweight division when he first came in, winner of the Cruiserweight Classic. And it really sucks that he left because I thought that, it's probably important to keep your first Cruiserweight champion around. But no, he also lost a lot of momentum, I guess, when he turned heel. And he's gone too. We'll see what happens with him. I'm sure he won't have any trouble finding work. And Arn Anderson, that's probably the biggest surprise out of all of them for me, because he's been with WWE for so long, and then for him to just get fired like this, it's very peculiar. I'm not sure what happened. I read the report about the altercation with Vince, but I don't think Vince's temperament's that bad where he would just fire a guy on a whim like that. This probably was a gradual thing. I don't know, but like I said, Arn is the biggest shocker of all for me. Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, with Arn Anderson, it could have been a case where they were just looking for a reason to get rid of him, and there was some sort of incident, and that was that. I mean, who knows? Not much else to really say about the releases. I'm not surprised by them. I could see guys like Mike Kanellis, Maria, possibly being next to go, just based off of their comments on social media. He's been quite vocal about being unhappy. I mean, anybody who's been upset about their spot, and then the guys that really are not being utilized at all. I'm surprised Ascension's still there, considering WWE hasn't done anything with them for the longest time. Wouldn't shock me if Tyler Breeze goes eventually. Fandango, even though he's been injured. These are the guys that haven't really been doing much of anything, and as the roster gets more and more crowded, you're going to see those guys that haven't been used be pushed even further aside. So those are the guys that I would look out for to probably be the next to go.
How long do you think before some of these NXT people that are up now, and even the batch like an EC3 group and Lacey Evans group, and then of course your Gargano, Ciampa, and put them all out there before nothing happens with them, and we can start talking about them wanting to be released.
Right.
Think any of them?
EC3 is already seeming to be out of favor with WWE Creative. He was on Main Event and lost to, I forgot the person he lost to. Oh, Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
Yeah, so EC3, I wonder if they've already given up on him.
That's the thing. I don't understand. Like I mentioned before, I don't understand why they brought him up when they have nothing for them to do.
That's what they do
on the main roster.
That's what they do.
They sign and sign and sign and sign with no direction. It's like a talent queue. They just put everyone in this pool, and they're like, okay, we got all these guys. What do we do? And then when there's nothing to do, the guys are like, F this. Like, I'm tired of just waiting around to not be used.
The only thing that they have to do, and there's just no time on it because WWE doesn't know how to use 3 hours and 2 hours on television. If these NXT wrestlers aren't given enough time to perform their match, which is what the fans know them as, then they're really nothing. I mean, look at Bobby Roode, right? He was his entrance gimmick in NXT. People would be excited to see his matches just because he would do the glorious. Now he's he's what, in a tag match? All of these guys are subject to ridicule now going forward. And I'm talking Aleister Black, because Ciampa, Gargano, Ricochet, because they're all going to blend in. Now, Ricochet at least has that ability, probably better than anybody else in the company in terms of flying anti-gravity. He is better doing that than Hardy was in his prime. I mean, Ricochet might be maybe Will Ospreay a little bit, but they might be the best aerial guy ever, and he hasn't even scratched the surface of being on the big stage yet. And this is coming from me, people. Right? I'm not but I'm not going to deny what I see. He's a freak in the ring, out of the ring, above the ring. So I'm going to call he's going to be the most successful out of all of these guys on the main roster, my opinion. Even though, look at Finn Balor, look at some of these others, but he already made Finn Balor look average. You know how Finn Balor relies on his moving around, being small? Ricochet made Finn Balor just look like a normal guy. That's how good Ricochet is.
Neville was the same thing, and look where he is at now. You know?
Ricochet is way above Neville. I'm serious. I've seen him. He just I don't know how he does it. I don't know how a human being can do what he does.
Right.
I'm serious. He's good. Very good. I won't say great yet.
Ricochet is that cool entrance too. Also, like that helps him. That helps him.
So we'll see. But don't care about TJP. Don't care about Ty Dillinger. Hideo Itami, probably best off in Japan. And Arn will go home and enjoy retirement, or possibly become an agent in All Elite Wrestling. I'm sure that'll happen. So let's move on. Talking about one guy goes out, another guy comes in. Brother Love makes his return backstage as Vince McMahon's number one yes man, and that is Bruce Pritchard. Played the Brother Love character in the 80s and early 90s. Managed The Undertaker for a little bit. He worked for WWE as a booker with Vince, part of creative for the longest time. Finally got let go. Did some work in TNA. Did his podcast. Guess who's back? So what's everyone's thoughts on Bruce Pritchard? I don't think he's going to move the needle creatively. Now, I think it was a coincidence, his first Raw, that he was backstage. A lot of exciting things happened. I believe from the information I've gathered, he probably sat with Vince for most of the show in gorilla position, helping feed lines to the ring announcers. But with that said, he knows he was with Vince during a very creative period of WWE back in the 90s, when it was crappy and it turned into the Attitude Era. Didn't he do stuff, Aaron, in the early 2000s too, I believe, with the booking committee before Stephanie got fully involved?
Yeah, he
did.
He was involved pretty heavily until he left, which was 2008. So
yeah. So what do you think, Aaron?
I think it's a good thing for him to be back. Now, one could argue that maybe it would be better to have some fresh faces in there, to have some new creative visions instead of going back to the past. One could argue that. But at the same time, Pritchard knows his stuff. He knows Vince really well. He has a good track record of being involved creatively at WWE's most successful periods in history. So maybe this will be a positive. I do think it's too early to tell. It's only 1 week. Let's see how things play out over the next several weeks. Let's see how things play out at WrestleMania and beyond. But yeah, I'm a fan of it. I wouldn't have minded seeing Vince Russo come back, but I don't think that's going to happen. Again, that's going back to the past, so I don't know if that would even work out.
The difference is, Aaron, though, I think Bruce is a yes man. He'll say a lot to Vince, what Vince wants to hear. Russo is not, and people never change. So I just don't think Russo and Vince could ever coexist again, because I don't think Vince would ever forgive Russo for leaving him to go to the competitor. I think that really stung McMahon because remember that changed the creative direction. It used to be a small team of a couple of guys and Vince in their living room, riding in the limos on the airplanes. After that happened, Vince started the process of getting multiple writers. It changed the complete outlook of how WWE creative was when Russo and Ed Ferrara left, and it's really never been the same creatively since. A little bit here and there. Heyman did a good job on SmackDown for a little while, but nothing consistent. So, any other thoughts? We'll pass it on.
I'm just curious to see how Pritchard does, and I do think it will be at least somewhat of a positive change. Big G, your thoughts?
Who?
Like you said, I think it'll be good. Hopefully, in the long run, like you said, it's only been a week. Is he also doing SmackDown, or is he just doing Raw?
I believe he's doing all aspects of creative in WWE.
Wherever Vince is, he'll be at.
Pretty much.
Okay, so, I mean, we'll see where it goes, And then you had all these new producers hired as well. So.
Yeah, who are they, Big G? Abyss? Sanjay Dutt? Hurricane?
And Double J.
Double J.
So, basically all the Impact guys. No, I'm kidding.
They're going to change the six-sided ring?
God, I hope not.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
They'll make it a pay-per-view, Aaron. It'll be a pay-per-view. It'll replace like Hell in a Cell. It'll be called Six Sides of Ropes.
Yeah.
Not much else to say right now. We'll give it a month, and we'll see if anything's changed. And if nothing's changed, then we know that Bruce Pritchard is a yes man and does whatever Vince says. TJS,
do you think we'll see Brother Love at all? Now, I know today's wrestling fans don't get what me and Aaron got when we were a kid. But with Vince McMahon in charge, he still loves bringing back the oldies but goodies. Do you think we'll get one Brother Love appearance on TV, even if it's just a backstage Thanksgiving eating a turkey leg or something?
Yeah, wasn't he at Raw 25, I believe? Wasn't he?
Yeah. He's been at a bunch of shows over the years, so they have brought him back for cameos. So yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance we'll see him again.
I love you, EC3. All right, go ahead.
Oh God,
sorry, I'm tired.
Do you guys think that Brother Love was brought in to replace Arn Anderson? Do you guys think
the timing? I mean, I don't know exactly what Arn did, right? But Vince likes to have that guy that's right there to talk to on limo rides and plane rides and.
Well, you know what people find funny? The fact that Undertaker is doing StarCast with Conrad Thompson, who is Bruce Pritchard's co-host, and all of a sudden Bruce Pritchard's going back to WWE. People find that to be quite interesting, the timing of that.
Are they still doing that podcast, Aaron? I mean, especially with Conrad's involvement with AEW?
I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Yes, we will.
It's like you said. It's good to have change in the creative department, I think. Like you guys said, we just got a bunch of new producers. How many producers do they have? Good Lord. There's got to be at least 10 of them. There's a lot. And I know Michael Hayes is one of them. And
yeah, he's still with the company. He's been with them all that time, hasn't he?
Yeah, and then Road Dogg, of course.
Jamie Noble.
Yeah. Finley, too, I think. It's really weird how they just make wrestlers backstage agents for some reason. I don't know.
Maybe because they know what they're doing? They know how to put together a match?
Do they? Because I've been waiting for a better direction with WWE, and we haven't gotten it yet.
Well, they're not. Keep in mind, they're not writing the shows per se. I mean, maybe Road Dogg has a role in that creatively, but they're putting together the actual layout of the match. Helping the guys, get everything together for their matches.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. But they're not in the creative department. They're just like laying out the match, basically. That's what a producer does, not creative. But okay.
Right.
Yeah. So. I do think it's probably a bit of a coincidence that Raw and SmackDown were so good this week, and it was Bruce Pritchard's first week back. We're going to just have to see what happens from here on out. Because Kevin Owens could have been ready to go like last week, and this could have been the plan all along before they even brought Bruce back. just like with Reigns. It was reported that Vince found out last week that Reigns was good to go, and Bruce is on the creative team now, so everyone's like, "Oh, Bruce Pritchard did this." You have Bruce Pritchard to thank. If we get a consistent product every week, then I'll take my words back. I'll eat my words. But for now, I want to just see what happens. So.
All right, noted. Now, Ronda Rousey laid down the Raw Women's Championship in the middle of the ring and walked away because she wants Becky to be in this match. So a month ago, a couple months ago, everybody was clamoring, we want Becky and Ronda to close out Mania. One-on-one, Becky and Ronda. Well, Vince McMahon worked his, and yes, Aaron, I know you know that Vince trolled everybody when he said that we are the authority and he's going to give everybody what he wants. He set that up so he can come back and make all these changes that nobody wants. Brilliant piece of Vince McMahon. That's why he's a legend to me, because I love when he works the fans that want something in particular. So everybody wanted the one-on-one match. Charlotte got involved thanks to Vince McMahon. Right now, clearly we know Becky will be added again, and it will be a triple threat. What was the crowd chanting, TJS? I'm going to ask you. On Raw, what were they chanting? Triple threat. Were they not?
Oh, yeah.
They were chanting triple threat. I thought they wanted one-on-one Becky versus Ronda. See how Vince McMahon knows what they want. They wanted a triple threat all along. So, but what does everybody think with this angle? Like, do you think this will be the way they get Becky back into it so Ronda takes her championship back? Do you think that maybe they'll strip her of it and make it vacant, put it on Charlotte? What do you think? TJS, I'll start with you. This is interesting to me.
Yeah, as far as the fans chanting triple threat, I've got one word to say. Fickle! Anyway, I do like where this is going. Man, I don't know why people keep hating on Ronda. When I was at that house show, there were people chanting, like, there were two, like, neckbeards behind me that kept talking about Ronda. They're like, Ronda's terrible. You guys aren't, these guys are just like the fat, virgin, like 40-year-olds that live with their mom. And they.
Oh, we know who neckbeards are.
They were just constantly screaming, and it was getting on my nerves because they were like, Ronda's terrible. Ruby, you should have beat her. And I was like, shut up. Like, Ronda's not even bad. I get that she gets flustered on the mic and everything, but damn.
And they need to protect her better. You know what I mean? They need to book her promos to her strengths versus weaknesses, and they don't do that. That's on creative or producer's fault.
I feel like she's getting the what was it, the succotash or something like that. Like,
suffering succotash.
She gets excited and she talks too fast. That's her problem. She needs to slow down. Charlotte's kind of slower now and not bad. She's getting better on the mic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all the alliteration that Ronda's using, like the words that are so similar sounds, and it's just a tongue twister because she gets excited and wants to deliver it really fast. Like you said, I think that we are going to get a triple threat, and I really do like where this is going with Ronda giving up the title, and now Charlotte saying, like, oh, I'm going to be crowned the women's champion on Raw. Tune in, guys. I think that's cool. I want... So I guess what you could do here is have Stephanie award Charlotte the title, and then you could have Charlotte versus Ronda versus Becky at WrestleMania. So then you could have Becky tap out Charlotte, and you could say, Ronda could say, I never actually lost my title, so I want the rematch. And then after that, you can build up to the 4 horsewomen, I think.
And that makes people mad. They wanted to see Becky beat Charlotte clean for that title, and it's all this manipulation now to protect Ronda, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm fine with. I think Ronda does need to be protected. I think she sells a little too much sometimes. She's supposed to be the baddest on the planet. Don't think it's really right how she looks vulnerable all the time. So it's just interesting. As far as I'm concerned, I still think this triple threat should close Mania, but that's just me.
It should.
Yeah.
TJ, Big G, what do you think?
Well, I'm kind of digging this as well. It was kind of interesting seeing Ronda put the title on the ground and walk away because she's not getting what she wants. Like we all said, she does flub her lines a little bit. talks really fast. Ronda Rousey, please take note. Watch your girl Shayna Baszler on NXT. Talk like her.
Ooh.
But
Be
This is
heelish.
coming from her slave boy.
Be heelish. You know, Shayna Baszler said these 3 things. Don't piss us off, don't question us, and don't get in our way. Ronda should be the same exact way. You know, she should say to Vince, see, I'm flipping my lines now. She should say, Vince, don't get in my way. I want this match with Becky Lynch. Give it to me. Or I'm getting the F out and I'm going back to UFC. Something like that. Not getting all excited and flubbing her lines and but
Like that right there.
Yeah. But what I think is gonna happen or should happen, the title should be vacant, and then all 3 of them can fight for it at WrestleMania, and Becky could tap out Charlotte
And a
or
ladder
Ronda.
match. No.
Oh,
All right, that's a good point. Good points. Yeah.
Shayna, also known as Sharon Corbin, is she's a heel though, and that's the thing. Like, you don't want Ronda to be the heel here.
But she needs to be a heel though. If she's gonna be the baddest woman on the planet, you do not want the baddest woman on the planet flubbing lines, saying, I want this match, give me this match. No, you demand this match. I'm your women's champion. You give me this match.
You are our women's champion. You're the NoDQ women's champion. Okay.
Does Ronda Rousey?
I got you though. I know what you mean.
Does Ronda give you guys like female Hulk Hogan vibes, or is it just me? Like when her music hits, for some reason.
Well, that's how it should be.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, she kind of reminds me of like the female Hogan.
As she should.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, and that's also why Charlotte's in the match too. I think because they want Ronda to get cheered. Also, so I guess what it's going to be is Charlotte will be booed at Mania heavily, Ronda slightly, Becky will get cheered. And man, with Ronda calling the title a belt, that was interesting.
Stephanie did it too.
Yeah, did you see what Becky tweeted? She said, okay, Ronda, you can go get that belt. She emphasized belt back from Stephanie.
They're playing into the fans because we all know there's a list that they don't like, of the words they don't like use. I'm telling you, there's somebody back there that's playing against all the internet fans. They're giving them these little tidbits.
Right, because the fans think that it's, a big deal about the term belt being used. So their attitude is, well, if we use the word belt, the fans are going to be like, wait a minute, maybe this is real. This isn't scripted because they're saying belt. So,
Aaron, you have to elaborate on this whole situation. Now, what do you think?
Well, I'm fine with whatever they do as long as Becky wins the title, and I think she should beat Ronda. I think Ronda should be the one taking the fall at WrestleMania, and as long as that's the end result, then whatever they do to get there, I'm cool with. I think it's interesting. They're keeping people guessing as to what's going to happen next, which is always a good thing. You want to be surprised. You want to be able to have these twists and turns in the story. Is Ronda going to be stripped of the title? I don't think so, because to quote Vince, that would be bad for business. Ronda is a big star, and her leaving and having her just leave the title there isn't good for business. So I think that there's going to be some sort of angle where Becky gets an opportunity to get back into the match, and then maybe she faces Charlotte at Fastlane, or they do something where Becky wins her way back into the match and you do the triple threat. And my feeling is Becky will beat Ronda at WrestleMania. And I think Charlotte's in the match for the sake of Charlotte getting the rub off of Ronda Rousey, just like Becky will.
Aaron, what would you think about this? What if they award Charlotte the title, and they're like, okay, we need a women's match for WrestleMania, so we'll bring back Becky, and since Ronda thinks that she can walk out on us, she's out of WrestleMania. So then you have Charlotte versus Becky set up, and then Ronda comes in and makes it a triple threat at WrestleMania, like a surprise appearance. Do you think she would get a pop that way?
She might, but I don't think WWE will do that with Ronda. They could make that argument that nobody's bigger than WWE, but Ronda's star power is legitimately important to the company. So I don't think they're going to portray her character as somebody who's replaceable. So I don't think they'll do that.
I personally hope that I really do expect Becky to be the Raw Women's Champion after Mania. I would even think it's insulting, if Charlotte got it. I could see Ronda retain to a point maybe, but I could see the whole Vince McMahon putting it on Charlotte to piss everyone off. That would be bad taste. But to me, it doesn't matter how Becky becomes champion. Everyone's so fixated. Got to beat Ronda. Got to pin Ronda. Got to beat Ronda.
I don't
Just give her the title. Just give her the title. It's not the one-on-one era anymore. It's multiple person era. I mean, that's what it is. But I get what you're saying. Fans of Becky want to see her beat the best.
Well, here's the thing. If Ronda is leaving to start a family, she should be putting over Becky, in my opinion, no questions asked. Now,
first of all, where that rumor came from, it's still a very big rumor. I mean, sure, Ronda might have had. I'll believe that when she's actually gone.
Right.
Go ahead.
If Ronda's sticking around after WrestleMania, then you don't necessarily have to have Ronda take the fall there. But yeah, because you could always do Becky and Ronda one-on-one to settle their unfinished business. But if Ronda's leaving after WrestleMania, that's going to be her last match for a while. I think she needs to put over Becky.
Well, if that's the case, then what's the point of having Charlotte in the match if she's not going to take the fall?
So Charlotte can get the rub. She can get the rub. And that was apparently the original plan all along, was to do Charlotte versus Ronda. And then once Becky got really hot, they changed plans. And then somebody decided, with Becky getting hurt, Charlotte getting in Survivor Series, the idea came up, let's just do a triple threat with all three of them.
Do you think Charlotte really needs the rub, though?
She's one of their top stars.
Any wrestler, Charlotte, Becky, any professional wrestler always needs the rub off of a mainstream star like Ronda. You know what I mean? Let's face it, Ronda is more known globally than Charlotte and Becky. Seriously, outside of the wrestling bubble. So even though she lost bad her last two fights. All right, moving on. So great discussion. Let's get this topic done really quick, and then we got two big ones to close the review. So the Hardys. Matt is back. I thought his spine was fusing with his tailbone or some crazy injury. And lo and behold, he went to the Lake of Reincarnation, and we got right in time for WrestleMania season. And Big Jim, I'm going to start with you. You got the biggest smile on your face right now. Matt and Jeff are back, and are we going to get Hardys and Usos, baby, for WrestleMania? What do you think?
Well, it's good to see Matt that he's back. It looked like he's lost some weight. His hair is growing out longer again. It looks like the Matt Hardy from like TNA back in the day, where it was not braided, but cornrowed or whatever. We could see the Usos versus the Hardys at WrestleMania, because it looks like the Hardys are going to be there for another year, so they could win the SmackDown tag team titles and kind of build that tag team division up again. Even though the Raw tag team division is looking kind of crappy right now, but we'll see what happens. It's best for both Matt and Jeff, because it gives them something to do, and it gives the tag team division another tag team in SmackDown. Even though they have the Clones and the Good Brothers and Sandy D that they never use, and we always see the New Day and the Usos, and who's another tag team that we see a lot recently now on SmackDown? Who? Oh yeah, the Bar. Yeah, and now Shane McMahon and The Miz are in the tag team division too. I want that thing to be over with. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Matt and Jeff. We got another year with them. We'll see what happens. TJS?
Number one, WWE advertised Johnny Gargano versus Cesaro for SmackDown. We didn't get it. So I'm a little pissed about that, because that would have been a great match. It was really weird, because Jeff Hardy's music is the Hardy Boys' music. So, I guess the fans live, they didn't really pop until they read the entrance graphic that said Hardy Boys instead of just Jeff Hardy, which is what he usually says. So, cool, I guess. I kind of was happy to see Matt back. I prefer his Logan character, though, but I get this nostalgia thing that they're apparently going to tap into again. There was a backstage interview with Matt, and he was like, I've learned to control my woken self, so I'm just regular Matt Hardy. This was on the WWE YouTube channel. when it's not important to give the fans any follow-up to the storyline or anything. You can just put it on the YouTube.
But you know what, TJS, the delete gimmick, that whole broken gimmick in TNA, it worked for them. It worked for them because they got back to WWE to make more money. They had that awesome return at WrestleMania. Now they're going to have another run. You know what I mean? It got, to Vince McMahon, who are the Hardys. All of a sudden, people are talking about them in the Indies because of the delete gimmick. Sure, Vince McMahon doesn't understand that, but he's like, people are talking about the Hardys again. I believe they would have came back, but they got a bigger role because of that deleted gimmick. I mean, look at that WrestleMania return a couple years ago. That was like pretty impressive.
Yeah. So it was a huge, huge pop at Mania. And it didn't even make any sense to add them to the match, but people were like, Hardys. So I get it. But I really would prefer, like, if they were the Broken Hardys, just for something new, because I'm kind of just tired of the same old Hardy Boys routine. Quite frankly, I would have rather had Matt Hardy be the Raw general manager if it was up to me. I thought that would have been way better than what we're doing with this McMahon family gimmick. But yeah, Usos versus Hardys, I don't think that match has ever happened. So it's going to be interesting. Not really sure what's going to happen with Shane and The Miz from here. I certainly don't see them challenging for the titles at Mania. They have their rematch at Fastlane, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think we'll probably have Hardys versus Usos, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, sounds like a good match, but what does that mean for Miz and Shane? What's going to happen with those guys?
Just give them the singles match. Just Miz versus Shane. Just do it.
That's going to be a slow match, too, because Miz works safe. Shane works safe until he does the high spot. So, man, I don't know.
I could see, but see, if a match like that kicked off Mania, not the kickoff show, but the first match of the main card, fans would be excited, give them like 10 or 12 minutes. I think it would work.
Give us the really edgy Miz again, where he's screaming and hollering instead of, my dad said he was proud of me.
Well, I think Shane's going to need to like mess with Miz's son or daughter, right?
Yeah, Monroe, Sky.
Yeah.
And he's having another one also, which is, and I can't blame the guy. Have you seen Maurice?
Miz is getting it in, bro. He's getting it.
TJS, she's no EC3. Let's be real here.
Fair enough.
All right, but yeah, anyways, I really don't have anything else to add to it. I'm happy Matt Hardy's back. He looks to be in great shape, so good for him. I'm glad to see him back with Jeff, and it creates some new opportunities for tag team feuds, maybe with the Usos, maybe with the Bar, maybe with Aleister Black and Ricochet. Lots of new matchups we can see now, so thumbs up. I like it, and that's all I got to say about that.
All right, let's move over to Smack. Well, we are in SmackDown here with the Hardys. So
main event.
Not the main event. This is a semi-main event.
Well, then we're going into overtime.
Because to me, Kofi Kingston does not belong in the main event. Ooh. And boy, was I ecstatic. Now, I was happy and angry at the same time when this went down, right? So Kofi's ready to sign the contract to face Daniel Bryan in Fastlane. And here comes Vince McMahon. And he says, Kofi, you're not in the match. Just like he did with Charlotte Becky. I mean, except Kofi didn't get suspended. This is uncanny, this Vince McMahon character. And then here comes Kevin Owens to take Kofi's place. So immediately I'm like, Kofi's not even getting the match. And then, of course, it dawned on me, oh, my God, everyone's going to say, that's because Kofi's getting the match at WrestleMania. Perhaps, right? Perhaps. But it's not WrestleMania yet. And I would be surprised before Kofi got a one-on-one match against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, it would be a multiple-person match for the title at Mania before Kofi and Bryan one-on-one. Everybody's so fixed on Becky, Ronda, Kofi, Bryan. We want what we want. Come on, people. Vince McMahon's a billionaire. You're not. All right, so that's the topic. KO returns and leapfrogs Kofi in line. Big G, you're smiling, but I'm not going to start with you. Aaron, I'm going to start with you because KO, everyone's like, I hope when he comes back they give him something good, right? A lot of people like KO. He comes back, automatically takes Kofi's spot, going to face Bryan at Fastlane. I can't believe KO took Kofi's spot. So go ahead. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting for sure. I mean, I'm definitely intrigued, but I'm confused about KO. Is he a babyface? Is he a heel? I'm not really sure. And will the crowd even react properly to the match, or will they just crap on it because it's not Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan? You know, is it going to be like 2015 when Roman Reigns gets injected into the match?
Kofi Kingston was flinging pancakes 2 weeks ago. Why do we care? Why do we care if it's Kofi? Because he's got momentum and
he's been around for 11 years.
Because Ali got punched by Randy Orton in the eye or whatever happened.
It's a cool story. A guy who's been there in the company for 11 years busting his ass.
I like Kofi Kingston, but he's a good little hand.
And he's a delicious flavor of the month.
Boom. No, Marks like to think they booked the show. God.
Well, guess what? You know what's good for business? First full black WWE champion at WrestleMania. Great publicity. He goes on all the shows. That is business as far as Vince is concerned.
First of all, if you're going to have the first African-American champion, make it a superstar, not a mid-card, upper mid-carder. I'm just saying, Kofi's a good little hand. He's a potential future Hall of Fame.
You sound like Triple H now.
They put Honky Tonk Man in the Hall of Fame for being a great mid-card, upper mid-card heel. Kofi can make the Hall of Fame for being a mid-card, upper mid-card
Which he will.
So, 11 years, again, we go back to Jinder Mahal, right? I get it. He didn't deserve that, right? Why does Kofi deserve this? Because he worked 11 years.
Kofi wasn't jobbing on main event.
Jinder, on our fake kayfabe PWI 500, Aaron loves me plugging that. In 2017, Jinder was number 30. In 2018, Jinder was number 14, higher than Kofi Kingston ever got.
Well, what's he going to be this year, like 396?
But still, he probably still makes like 100, because usually, even if you're on TV enough, you fall. But doesn't matter. It's a 2-year run they gave to. But again, we're not talking about Jinder. He's just he was a flavor of the month for me, just like Kofi's a flavor of the month for you. All right, who wants to take this next? Because
I would say he's a more fulfilling flavor than, say, like a Zack Ryder or any number of guys.
Of course, you would say that about Zack Ryder.
Yeah, screw Zack Ryder.
Kofi is.
Go ahead, next. Whoever. This is it, man.
Kofi has been consistent for the last 11 years. That's what.
Consistently in the mid card. I agree with you.
Yeah, and don't you think it's time for a push then? If he's been in the mid card for
so, it would have been right in the middle of his 5-6 years ago, maybe. But
isn't that the thing? You're supposed to work your way up from the mid card. That's what he's done. He's
7 years.
Hey, he's grinded for so long, and now
I would rather have Ziggler be on TV in Kofi's spot right now.
I mean, to me, it's like Mick Foley. When Mick Foley was in the mid-card for the longest time, and then he became WWE champion relatively quickly, and that was during the Vince Russo era.
So he was in the mid-card for the longest time when he had that Boiler Room Brawl against The Undertaker in '96.
Was that the main event?
And he was in the Hell in a Cell. Those are very high, prominent matches.
Was it the main event? Kofi Kingston's been in the Elimination Chamber. He's been in key positions in the Royal Rumble. He's been in matches with Randy Orton.
He was in a multiple-man main event for the. Oh yeah, there you go. On a show where it didn't have Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns.
But it was it was the main event nonetheless.
He gets a lot of TV time. New Day has been
garbage.
All over the place.
This newfound Kofi. No, it's like under a rock, and you flip under the rock, and next thing you know, you find a shiny lucky stone, and hey, I'm naming the stone Kofi.
Yeah, just like Mick Foley. That's the same thing they did with Mick Foley.
The comparisons are awful. The Becky Stone Cold comparison is trash. Because she got taken out in handcuffs, right? Stone Cold came back. Becky didn't. So there you go. But yeah, let's compare Kofi to Mick Foley. Are you serious, Aaron Red? Oh my gosh. All right, who wants to take it next? TJ, are you talking?
Yeah,
go.
I'll go. So, are we supposed to just forget that Kevin Owens viciously assaulted Vince McMahon?
Yes.
Did that not happen?
That never happened.
Did he not? What was it? Shane jumped off the cell and almost died because of Sami Zayn and Kevin. They just completely tortured the McMahon family. But he's in the match, damn it. As a babyface, I should mention, because...
Vince doesn't care about his family, and Vince taking the headbutt from Owens, Vince likes manliness.
Well, apparently nobody cares about their family anymore. Charlotte didn't even care about Ric Flair being attacked.
And that's okay. So I have another gripe. The last time we saw Kevin Owens, he was on Raw. The last time we saw Matt Hardy, he was on Raw. Charlotte has moved to Raw from SmackDown. What the hell's going on with this brand split? What's the point?
Charlotte was on SmackDown still, though.
What? Charlotte? Yeah. So, anyway, what is the point of this brand split if you're not having competitive shows? There's no competition between the general managers. It's just the McMahon family running everything. Anyway, I watched NoDQ live on demand, and Aaron talked about how Kevin Owens just signed the damn contract despite Kofi's name being on it, which we've seen the contracts. They usually do close-ups, like WWE title match, Kofi versus Daniel, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like this is just the flip-flop. Kofi is probably going to do Mania. Kevin is going to do Fastlane. And he also used the stunner.
It's easy to assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what other direction is there for Bryan, if not Kofi?
Multiple person match. And I'm calling now. He's going to be in a multiple person match because they're not going to know who they want to face him at Mania.
Well, we do. Okay, look, we have a big problem with WrestleMania right now. Becky is set to win the title probably. Seth is set to win the title probably. And if Kofi's in the match, people are going to want him to win the title. This is going to water down all those moments because there's going to be so many of them. And that's the problem with too many titles. Because Seth is going to get his big reaction when he wins. Kofi might win. Who the hell knows?
Maybe not.
Yeah, it'll be the first black WWE champion, like you guys said.
And maybe not knowing WWE, Virtue may be right. They may just throw it out there just to make the fans happy, but then Kofi loses, third match of the night.
Well, see, Aaron, you were right, though. If they were going to do that with Kofi, it should have been this month.
Right.
Yeah.
Capitalize on it. Jeez.
Yeah, because you're right, TJ. So they can't really tell that same story for all three major titles.
Yeah, like with WrestleMania 30, what made it so special was it was a full show story. You had Daniel Bryan work his way up from the beginning of the card and then win in the main event. Did you want to say something, Aaron?
I was just going to say, yeah, to do that big celebration thing for all three titles would be overkill. And I just want to add, I'm laughing because I'm still picking Brock to retain against Seth Rollins, especially now that Roman's back. Would not shock me. I'm sticking with it. I said it a month ago. I'm sticking with it. Brock Lesnar is going to retain the Universal title at WrestleMania. And I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going with that as my prediction officially.
Well, a couple more things about Kevin. In the backstage interview, they were like, "Oh, Kevin, why the hell are you here?" And he's like, "Vince McMahon called me and asked me to do this, and he said I have a family at home. I need the money to support them. Being the champion means more money, blah, blah, blah." Basically the Walter White / Heath Slater gimmick. And he said that he has all the respect in the world for Kofi. So, babyface Owens, you saw him do the Tope Con Hero, and he was doing the missile drop kick. Babyface, doing high-flying moves. Didn't beat up Kofi after the match, but he's not going to get cheered if he's not Kofi. That's the problem. And I feel like Bryan is really being overshadowed by this whole Kofi and Kevin thing, and I don't like it because I think Daniel deserves better. I want him to hold the title even after Mania. Finally, with the Owens Stunner thing, what do you guys think? Do you think that's going to be his new finisher? Because he did hit the sit-out pop-up powerbomb later or earlier in the match, and it was kicked out of, and then he gets the Stunner. 1, 2, 3. Interesting. You guys think that's going to be his new finish, Big G?
Yeah, I think it is going to be his new finisher. Like you said, Bryan kicked out of the pop-up powerbomb beforehand. As far as Kevin Owens coming back and leaping over Kofi Kingston, I'm fine with it. If they had all the confidence in the world with Kofi Kingston, they would have went with it years ago or even at Elimination Chamber.
Yes.
Even back in 2009 with Randy Orton, they could have pushed him back. They kind of pushed him, but it was still like a mid-card kind of push. Kevin Owens, he looks in great shape. He lost weight. He got his new tattoo. Baby face all around. Hit the Stunner. Will he win at Fastlane? Probably not. And will Kofi be at WrestleMania? Possibly. It could be a triple threat. Could be a fatal four-way. I'm still saying, throw Luke Harper in there and Bray Wyatt, Like Virtue said, and I agree with him 100% now, have Harper join Bryan and Rowan, have Wyatt come back possibly after Fastlane pay-per-view, like the lights, Bryan retains against Owens, the lights go out, you see Harper with Bryan and Rowan trying to beat up Kevin Owens, lights go out again, Bray Wyatt is there to save Kevin Owens. And we'll see what happens,
Nobody should beat Bryan. Bryan should run this title, just run it for a long time and build this little, whatever it's called, this little cult of Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, and I like that they have people like Kofi where people really want to see them win, because then if they let Bryan retain, it's going to make them genuinely grow to hate Bryan, and that's what you're supposed to do with heels. All right, is everybody ready for the main event? Oh, TJS isn't. Go ahead.
If I had to say, if I had to choose between Kofi winning the title and Bryan retaining, I want Bryan to retain. I just want him to hold it and hold it and hold him.
Yeah, and whoever said, was that you, Big G? Who said it's getting overshadowed? Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
that was you, TJS. I agree. That's a good way to put it. The Kofi Mania is overshadowing this great heel run that Daniel Bryan is just beginning. So, all right, but let's go to the land of the actual main eventers and talk about Ric Flair, Triple H, and Batista, the real main eventer. So Ric Flair was supposed to come out to his birthday celebration on Raw. Sting was out there. Everybody was out there. Hoorah, yeah, woo. And guess what? We didn't even see Rick come out. Why? Because they cut backstage. Of course, they didn't show what Batista did to him, but Batista drug him, lifeless Ric Flair just laying there, and said, now do I got your attention, Triple H? This is clearly has to lead to Triple H versus Batista one-on-one. Here's what I'm thinking, though. Are the fans going to turn on this match? Aaron, what's your thoughts with Batista?
Well, I'm happy to see him back, but as I've said before in the past, I'm not really a fan of Batista versus Triple H again. I'd rather see somebody else get that spot rather than Triple H. I feel like Triple H every year has to have a WrestleMania main event. He has to be in it. And to me, I'm just tired of it. I want to see some fresh faces in there. I want to see some fresh matchups. We've already seen Batista and Triple H, and they had a match at WrestleMania 21 that was, 14 years ago? And to me, it wasn't really that great of a match. So we're going to have another match with these guys 14 years later. I'm just not really feeling it. I know Batista wants to do it, so, they're going to do what Batista wants, but I'd rather see Batista versus somebody we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Well, he's apparently recovered for it. He's good to go for WrestleMania now.
That looked bad, man. When it happened. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Batista versus. How about Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns needs an opponent for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Unfinished business from that Royal Rumble.
That's very interesting, Aaron, and I would not be opposed to that, even though I think they should slow roll Roman's return, but that would be intriguing if he wrestled on behalf of WWE, Ric Flair, Triple H.
I like that a lot better.
That's fantastic.
Triple H.
Yes.
Batista's trying to screw over the company, and he's raising hell. He lays out Triple H, and then Roman Reigns comes to Triple H's aid. And there you go, Roman Reigns sticking up for Triple H.
Blockbuster matchup all of a sudden. I mean, granted, yeah, you're right. Triple H could be blockbuster, but Aaron, you're right. Every freaking year he's got to have a spot.
Yeah, I'd much rather see Batista and Roman Reigns. To me, that would be a hot match. I'd like to see that. Big G, your thoughts?
Well, I think it'll be okay for what it is. Go back to SmackDown 1000 when they had their little thing, and Batista told Triple H, "You're the only person who hasn't beaten me." And so, they got their face-to-face, and how Ric Flair got in between them. So I think that kind of led up to Batista beating up Ric Flair and dragging him out. But the Roman Reigns idea isn't a bad idea either, But, and think about it, Triple H is Vince McMahon's son-in-law, so Triple H gets what he wants. If he wants a match at Mania, he's going to get a match at Mania. Oh man, I'm trying to think. I was gonna say something, now I lost it.
Oh, come on, Big G. The pressure. It's like the Sid promo, and JR said, "We're live, pal."
Right. But I think back to that Royal Rumble. That was a hot ending when it was Batista and Roman Reigns. I'd love to see them just have like a full-blown one-on-one match. I don't think they've had one.
No, they haven't. And I think while they're also doing this match is, I guess, for the younger generation, for the kids who never saw Batista and Triple H, even though we have the network, but they want to show the younger generation, okay, this is Batista, this is Triple H. They had a feud back in the day. Now they're back at it. So
that's starting to grow on me more and more, Aaron, now that you brought that up. Think about the 2014 and the 2015 Royal Rumbles, and you could literally put those two guys together in a match at Mania that people might actually care about, Roman and Batista. I mean, of course, I bet you that wasn't even on their radar, though.
Right. And Batista's such a great heel, too, that, Roman Reigns is coming off of this comeback here.
Yep. Oh, God. TJS?
Well, I'm not understanding what the point is of Batista wanting to match with Triple H. It's not registering, because if Triple H has never lost, or if Batista's never lost to Triple H, why would you take the chance and be like, yeah, I want to face him again?
Are we all assuming? I mean, I guess we should, because Triple H is involved and he never gives up his Mania spot. I was just wondering if this could lead to Batista versus somebody else.
Possibly.
I don't think so, because I don't think it's in Triple H's character to just. Because, I mean, Triple H is clearly going to be the babyface here. He's not going to be like, oh. I feel like Triple H is going to be like, this is my battle. I want to fight it, blah, blah, blah. Of course,
him and all his NXT people against Batista. There you go. I'm just trying to think how the fans would get behind Triple H. You know what I mean?
They want you to sympathize for the 70-year-old Ric Flair who's laying there and didn't actually take any punishment. He just was told to lay down and then dragged out of the locker room. But he's so lifeless. And, man, Batista's, that nose ring it's got to go.
No, because that's heat. If it bothers you, that's good.
I don't know. Like Aaron said, I'm not.
And it was blue too.
Yeah.
He can get away with whatever he wants. He is in the Avengers. He is Drax and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are some of the hottest movies in the last 5 years. Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. Mainstream, seriously.
And then it'd be funny. Before TJS goes. So, say this happens, right, at WrestleMania. He loses. He ends up in a wheelchair and recreates 2010 and says, I quit again, and then leaves.
Nice.
I just don't know about this, guys. I feel like Triple H should have been the one challenging Batista, not Batista challenging Triple H. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I guess we'll probably have a follow-up to it on Raw, and Batista will say he's been trying to get a match with Triple H, but Triple H has been ducking him or whatever, and they'll have some kind of follow-up.
I'm not understanding why he wants them. Like, it doesn't make sense. Why Triple H?
Look, they left us with the cliffhanger on Monday, which they hadn't done in a long time, so it's making you want to know more. So you have to tune in.
But it's
exactly.
Gonna be so dumb. It's gonna be like Batista, like, I just want to whip your ass again, Hunter, or something like that.
Man, you're a Debbie Downer here,
dude,
TJS.
Are you sure that Triple H didn't say, back when he said end of an era, that he didn't really say the beginning of an era? Because Triple H has been in every Mania since, right?
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, if this match happens, it needs to be protected with some sort of stipulation, because bathroom break match. As far as
well, Aaron, you got to make the thumbnail for this video. Definitely Batista, Flair, and Triple H, because that'll get the 500, 600, 700 people on the casual clicks from the YouTube algorithm over to watch this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
You're saying Kofi's not going to get the job done?
Last week, we're struggling to hit 3,000, even though we had a lot of thumbs up. But, of course, all the Kofi fans went to thumbs it up. But the casuals weren't drawn to the last NoDQ review like others. The scantily clad women one is, what, 4,200 views?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the internet, people. That's all I got. Let's do our plugs. Big G.
Well, NoDQ.com/Big G takes you to my Twitter page. I'm always on there. looking and doing whatever. NoDQ underscore Big G on Instagram. Jeff Filtz on Facebook. NoDQ.com/shirts. As Virtue said before, we're wearing hashtag Fire Virtue. Aaron's wearing NoDQ video shirt with Aaron Rift. I don't know what the hell TJS is wearing.
Not a
go
NoDQ
to your regular clothing store and probably pick that shirt up. That's it for the Big G. TJS, take it away, pal.
NoDQ.com/TJS takes you to my Facebook page. Go there, check out my selfie with Braun Strowman. It has a lot of likes. And I even tweeted out, oh, by the way, at NoDQ_TJS on Twitter. I tweeted out a picture of me with Braun, and everyone was just so shocked how similar we look. And yeah, I'm just really happy that that happened. And plugs, of course. Aaron has NoDQ pins available. I believe it's 1 for 3, and what is it? Is it 5 for 10? 3 for 10?
Yes, 5 for 10.
5 for 10. Yeah, look at that. That's nice.
Save one for me, Aaron. Bring it to SummerSlam.
You could stab somebody quite nicely with this pen too.
Oh dear. Yeah. So there you go. If you are in the mood to stab, there you go. You can write notes. Do whatever you want.
Don't really do that.
Yeah, don't actually. We do not condone that type of violence, but please do buy a pen. They're nice, and who doesn't use pens nowadays? So
right.
You should have done markers because people could make their signs at the shows with the markers.
Yeah, well,
they could write Kofi. Well, then you charge more.
Yeah, well, I'm a cheap ass. But yeah, these pens are pens of peace, not hate. So anyways, email me, nodqmisc@gmail.com if you're interested in picking up a pen. And I will be giving away pens at the Toronto SummerSlam meetup. So you want to get one for free, meet me there, and I'll give you a pen. All right, so that's all I got. NoDQ.com. Virtue, let's go and wrap this up.
Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Go to my Facebook page, NoDQ.com/Virtue with the lowercase v. That's where Big G and I do Virtue's Rage in front of our 10 to 12 diehard fans live, although it does get several hundred views after that. Go to my Twitter. That's all I can say. So for Big G, for TJS, for Aaron Rift, I'm Virtue. See you next time.